long and prosperous.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Shut up and take my money.
I grab Thor's hammer. What a saving.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Winter is coming.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Stay a while and listen.
Hey, old Kermit Frog here.
Your ties are cool.
So say we all.
This is a Play on Nerds. Welcome to episode 212 of A Play on Nerds. It's a very special episode we have for you today. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jarman.
I'm the other guy, Steve, and welcome to our very special holiday special.
That's right. If you're hearing this, you probably just had Christmas time with your family. If you don't celebrate, that's cool too. But we're going to celebrate by delving into that favorite holiday film where a normal man is suddenly thrust into becoming Santa Claus. No, not the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, but Santa with muscles with Hulk Hogan.
That's right. A classic we didn't know existed until recently.
Dear God.
Is bursting into your homes with our episode.
Whether you like it or not.
In our special Yuletide Jingle Jangle Spectacular.
And lots of muscles, apparently.
Making up special names now.
But Steve, what have you been up to since our last recording?
Well, we're just going full steam into the holiday season. Biggest thing, Anna and I are getting ready for on Saturday. Anna, as part of the PTO, we are doing a fundraiser where I'm going to be Santa for 4 hours.
Oh, explain to our listeners who don't know what PTO is.
The Parent Teacher Organization, which is different from a PTA, which is an association that you effectively pay dues to in order to be a part of. But PTO is individualized.
Gotcha.
So my wife is the secretary for the thing. And so we're running this, and I'm going to go be Santa for 4 hours.
Woo! Do you have your own costume?
I do. So I bought a costume. I've probably talked about this in prior episodes, 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
Oh, that's right.
A buddy of mine, Chris from Sweden, they were stuck here because of COVID. They normally traveled back to Sweden for the holidays, but couldn't. And they typically, apparently in their family, the oldest male relative would dress up as Jultomten, which is the Christmas gnome, and come around and ask them if they've been good children and then give them presents. But since they couldn't travel home, he asked me, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, it doesn't have to be that good of a costume. And I was like, nah, man, let's do this. So I bought a decent costume.
Nice.
And have been making little improvements to it over the years. And so now I get to utilize it and raise money for my kids' school activities.
That's great.
Yeah.
What a dad.
Yeah, I'm the best.
And humble too.
That's right. And then in less satisfying news, so our upstairs toilet just wasn't flushing right. We're pretty sure kids put stuff down in there.
Oh boy.
Luckily we've got neighbor Mike, who's a certified plumber, and we love him. Thank you, Mr. Mike. We got him a Christmas gift because he's been so kind to us.
Mm-hmm.
Came up and tried to snake it, couldn't do it. And so eventually he's like, I got to pull the toilet. So he pulls the toilet, puts it in the tub because he's like, there's still water and stuff going to come out of it. You don't want it on the floor. And we're like, okay.
Right.
And when he put it in the tub, he went to put the lid back and the tank in the back just cracked.
Oh,
a huge piece just came off. So I get a call in the middle of the day like, hey, you need to pick up a toilet on the way home from work.
Oh, no.
So one of the worst part of this whole story,
hopped
in the car, went on autopilot, drove home, was literally walking up my front steps and went, I didn't pick up a fucking toilet.
Of course.
Walked inside, put down my stuff, and I was like, I got to go back out. It was raining and terrible and cold. And I went literally back the way I came. The Home Depot is 5 minutes from work, but no, I drove entirely away from it.
Did he ever find out what was in the drain that was causing it to be stopped up?
Nah, because he pulled it and he said the pipe was clear, which was true because our downstairs toilet hasn't had any trouble flushing, so it wasn't in the main drain. And he said it was in the toilet itself, and he was like, at this point, it's broken. You're getting a new one. I'm not going to dig through the old toilet to figure out what this mystery was. We were like,
yeah,
that's
not
fair.
a good idea.
That's fair. So
this mystery.
Yeah, it's fine. So the mystery dies. It's actually out. We get one bulk pickup item a week through our trash thing. So that's our bulk pickup item for this week.
They get your nasty old toilet broken.
They do. It has that beautiful gold seat, though. I'm going to miss it.
Was that one that was there when you got here, or was it a toilet you bought for the house?
That's the toilet that was there. Mike pulled it. The time stamp on the inside said 1979.
What? I think it was time.
It was.
That's
it
old
had a
toilet
bad
older
life.
than we are.
It deserves to die now.
Put me out of my misery. So many butts have sat on me.
So please kill me.
Oh, God. Since 1979.
I've been eating bleach for 40 years.
Wow.
Bleach and shit. Bleach and shit.
And blood every day. Wow, that's a great start of the episode. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. I bought myself a toilet. Ho, ho, ho.
Merry Christmas. So that's your update then, huh?
Yeah, toilet
Right.
news.
Well, since we last recorded, Sean and Leah of the Have Coffee Will Travel podcast and Sean of Cosmic Pizza, they came into town here in Orlando and they did a lot of fun stuff around town. But then we got to hang out with them for a night, my wife and I, Jolie, and we went to dinner at Hammered Lamb, the place that catered our wedding. We wanted to take them to some local spots instead of and like before my wife got home from work, we played some card games and stuff. We played Star Trek Flux, a little card game out at home.
Yeah.
And then we went to dinner at Hammered Lamb, and then went out to another favorite place called the Falcon, where they have lots of local artwork up. And we had some drinks. And there's a card game there as well, where you really just get to know each other a lot. Like ask a lot of personal questions about your relationships and your past. And it was a lot of fun just chatting with them and having fun. So it was a good old time. It was good to see you guys. And also, I want to mention, just a shout out to the Cosmic Pizza podcast. Stephen was talking about some DIY stuff with that toilet. They had a whole episode about DIY projects in the house once you're a homeowner and all the crap they've had to go through over the years. And it was fascinating to listen to as somebody who's never owned a home before and all the horrors that await me. So
it is a curse that we trick many to join us in.
Exactly. And the only other kind of big thing I think of at the moment is, preparing for the holidays because it hasn't happened to us yet. But also, for the first time, I was able to see one of my books that I've narrated in a physical store, which I had nothing to do with. But this romance bookstore opened in Orlando. And so I went there. I went there because I saw in their inventory online, it said that they had one of the books that I've narrated there, 2 of them, in fact. When I got there, it was really popular because it was their big opening day and they had tons of people coming in and out. But I saw it sitting on the end of the shelf in the seasonal section because it's called Frozen Over. It's a hockey romance that I did. It actually only comes out in January. It's not even out yet on audio yet. But I bought the book. This is the first time I've seen one of my books in a store. And I went to the cashier. I'm like, I narrated this. She's like, yeah, okay. So she's like, good for you.
Whatever, dude.
I don't think she believed me. But when they have more of my books in there, which they will soon, because I'm narrating more and more popular stuff, I'm excited to go in there and maybe do a reading or something sometime. But hopefully they'll have me.
Ooh, yeah.
But it was fun to have like my book sitting on a shelf that I narrated. It's pretty neat.
That's hot.
So Frozen Over by Ruth Stilling. Hockey romance. Go check it out.
And Frozen Over, it's on theme with a Christmas episode.
Exactly.
Bam.
It's perfect. But Steve, I believe you have something special for us this time around.
That's right. So instead of doing some nerdy news this week, I'm going to do something I do a lot of our holiday episodes, and that's Reason for the Season.
Oh,
I've talked about everything from candies to the origin of Santa Claus to the sweet treats that get left out, weird traditions, and now I'm going to talk about something that every adult holds near and dear, and that's the holiday adult beverage.
Oh, yes.
But that's not just here in the U.S. This holiday adult beverage on holidays, including Christmas, is enjoyed world round.
Nice.
So before we get started, Jarman, do you have a morning alcoholic beverage associated with Christmas or like party beverage?
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, I guess eggnog's all right, but my favorite thing I think about would be like a hot toddy, something like that.
Ooh,
it's like
yeah.
whiskey and honey and like, I think is it brandy? Something else is in there, but it just feels good in your throat. It's warm, it's cozy, and it'll do some damage too. So you gotta be careful.
That is true.
What about you?
I've never been one for eggnog. I've had somebody did like a hot apple cider that was spiked that was real good once. I've had a couple good like Christmas punches, like fruit punch with booze, effectively, cranberry juice. But Anna and I do what we call super coffee. So this is something that we had for the first time in Brooklyn the first day we moved there.
Wow.
So we got there, we got to the airport, we got into Brooklyn, we dropped our stuff at Owen's place. And they were just getting up, despite the fact that we came in like midday. And they're like, we're going to brunch. And I was like, it's 2. And they're like, we're going to brunch. So they took us to the place and they ordered a super coffee, which was strong black coffee with Kahlua, Jameson, and Bailey's.
Oh, yes. It's like a super Irish coffee.
Yeah. And so that's our like morning adult beverage on Christmas.
That's fantastic.
So we make coffee, but all we do is we buy 2 little bottles of each of these things, and we just have all of them. So
it's all set up.
We get like the little travel bottles. Yeah. So we're just done.
I like it. I also say mulled wine is really good. We made that for Thanksgiving. It's a good, you just basically get like a big Instapot, put it on a low simmer, and then you just put in 2 bottles of wine and then like some, like a decent amount of brandy, and then you put in some oranges and you put in cinnamon and allspice and cloves, and it's fantastic. It sits there simmering the whole day. People just go in there and ladle some in their cup, and it's just warm and spicy and Christmassy.
Nice. So I'm going to talk about some of these drinks from around the world.
Hell yeah.
We start in Sweden. My friend Chris Glögg. You'd probably correct me. Glögg. This came about in the 1500s as a clever way to mask really low quality wine. That was why the wine was terrible. So like, crap, we got to put a bunch of stuff in this. So they do the traditional stuff that would be in a cinnamon and star anise and those classic things that would be in a mulled wine. But then apparently, I didn't realize this, they add cardamom, which is apparently a very Swedish ingredient. I didn't know that cardamom is a very Swedish ingredient, and that's what sets it apart, is that added cardamom.
Makes it a Swedish variant. Yeah.
Yeah, Swedish variant. We've got Air Punch from Germany. This is German eggnog, and like the American counterpart, there's whisked eggs and sugar with hot milk. It's traditional. There's no cream involved in this. It is depicted as much thinner than eggnog, and I think that's what kind of sets them apart. Eggnog has heavy cream and shit in it.
So that is too sweet for our palates. It must be not sweet at all. No sweetness.
For your fat American piggies, yeah. All right, so from the U.S., finally, we're going to dip in New England. In the colonial area comes hot buttered rum. Okay. They took rum, butter, brown sugar, and spices, mixed it together. You have it, and they put a little dollop of cream on top.
Oh my gosh, so sweet.
It sounds like adult butter beer, and I really kind of want to try to put it together.
That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
in small doses.
In small doses. I just want to see what it's like. This one time. Then you've got Coquito from Puerto Rico.
I've had Coquito.
It's island eggnog. But the twist is it's got coconut milk, evaporated milk, and condensed milk. So it's like the sweetest, densest, creamiest thing you can imagine. And they top it off with rum. And it's just an incredibly great tropical drink for the holidays. My buddy Hector at work, his wife was going to volunteer to make some for the team, and I bought all the ingredients, and then I got the job at the new store, and I wasn't there to actually try this. So I'm really bummed.
I dated a Cuban girl for 3 years, and she made it every year with her family, and we had a bunch of it, and it was really good.
And then we've got Chan Mary from, I don't know how that's how it's said. That's how it's spelled. Chan Mary from Japan. They say champagne, but the more I looked at it, the more I was like, that's any sparkling white wine.
Yeah.
But then they mix it with a local Michan orange liqueur, which is an orange shochu, which falls into a category of liqueurs that's like above sake because it's about 25% alcohol content, but below spirits. So it's, like liqueur kind of.
Like a strong mead or something.
Yes, but I learned a little bit about like all the different kind of variants of Japanese alcohol as I was reading stuff about this. So they take it. So it's like an orange, sparkling, refreshing,
Sounds delicious.
champagne-y beverage. It does sound delicious. I'm just going to put an orange lifesaver in some Sprite
And hope for the best.
Just see what it puts
Your
some
kids
vodka
can
in
have
there.
it.
It's going to be the same. But that is yummy drinks from all over the world. Why don't you share your yummy drinks? We've got listeners from the UK. We've got listeners from Canada. What do you drink during the holidays?
Yeah, tell us. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. And as always, that is the reason for the season.
Well, that brings us to our main segment where we're going to talk about some Santa with his muscles. Santa with muscles.
So we start off with a little girl working on her letter to Santa. She tells him all about a terrible man who's stealing up the town from under them, and he's driving the residents out, and she's afraid this is going to be the last Christmas with her friends at the orphanage. We cut to Hulk Hogan, who's with a very unflattering haircut.
Hold on.
He's
Just anytime we on our podcast would say we cut to Hulk Hogan. That's just, we're going off the rails already.
Yeah, already. We cut to Hulk Hogan with unflattering haircut. He's in army fatigues and he beats up his house staff. But it's all training. Okay. He's Blake. He's a rich guy who runs a supplement empire. He takes off joyriding, going paintballing with his jerk friends. We then meet the local sheriff, played by Clint Howard, who is clearly tormented by Blake and his antics. The police try to pull him over. They shoot paintballs at the police and evade arrest. This got so serious so quick. He makes a break for the Lakeville Mall. There are a million places to hide, and he grew up there. And then I literally asked the question, is Blake the protagonist or is Blake the bad man up the hill threatening to buy out the town?
I wondered too, yeah.
I didn't understand at first. So we meet Lenny, who's a degenerate gambler and seasonal elf. He owes money to some sort of scientist doctor who enjoys torturing people. We'll meet him more later. His boss is Ebner Frost, who wants a tortured man to sell him his land. They don't make it clear what he wants them to sell him for like 2 minutes. So you feel real bad for this guy because you don't know what the villain wants. We meet a ragtag group of scientist torturer henchmen. Dr. Flint, an evil geologist.
Yep.
Dr. Vile, an evil chemist, and Dr. Watts, who's an evil electric scientist. I'm sure there's a term for that. I don't know. Meanwhile, Blake is hiding out at the mall and for some reason is like, I should get into the Santa costume. But the police are on to him. Blake dangles from a trash chute, eventually falling in his attempt to hide from the cops. He hits his head. Lenny finds him, steals his wallet, but Blake wakes up, but he doesn't remember anything because of amnesia reasons. Lenny convinces him that he is Santa Claus. So they throw him on the big Santa Claus chair. He stumbles through it with recent head trauma prevailing through the entire thing. And I genuinely wrote here, this may be one of the few partially actually funny parts of this movie. Mm-hmm. Is Hulk Hogan on that chair with those kids may have been the closest thing to real comedy this movie got. Two bad guys, two local thugs steal money from somebody collecting for charity. And Hulk Hogan's not having it as Santa, and he causes massive property damage and beats up two adult men in front of a group of cheering children. Santa Blake decides that he has to head to the children's mission, which is what the money was being collected for. So they hop on the back of Lenny's moped and take off. The villains are buying up the town. He tortures the man into selling, but there's only one plot left he needs, and conveniently it's the orphanage. We meet Leslie, the head of the orphanage, and 3 orphans, though it is implied there are a lot. She rejects offers to sell the orphanage and rebuffs the advances of the lead henchman guy. The bad guys tear down a statue, ripping it out with a vehicle. Garrett Morris chases after them and almost gets run over. Somehow Santa Blake grabs a cable and stops and holds a moving vehicle.
He's got muscles.
We have crossed from this guy is strong to this guy is Superman in one thing. The bad guys run away. Everyone introduces themselves and they have dinner and they thank him for his help. They say they're going to fix up his suit for him. And the next morning, Santa comes down without his outfit, which overnight has been custom revamped into a muscle Santa shirt.
Because Mila Kunis, as a child, is a really good seamstress, apparently.
And he gets an upgraded utility belt, which I don't actually think comes into play at all.
Oh, you're right.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
The big bad guy, Ebner Frost, is upset about the orphanage, and he's mad that it's suddenly on the map with all this media from Santa with muscles stopping these criminals, and he wants it taken care of. So he sends his guys to go and capture Lenny and leverage Lenny's relationship with Santa Blake into getting him away from the orphanage. So Blake's like gonna leave. Lenny almost talks him out, and then he hears the little girl singing a nonsense song called Angel Baby that clearly was made up by someone that day.
Who had never
it was clearly made up
before.
by somebody that day when they realized they didn't have a song to use or the rights for that one thing they had the little girl learn fell through. One of those two things happened. That night, the statue's head is delivered with a threatening note and it's thrown into the window of the orphanage. Santa Blake goes out to fight the henchmen, heading to the bad man's mansion upon learning that the young boy from the orphanage went to deal with things. He's like, I got to go get that kid. Finally, the big bad evil guy's plan to excavate the whole town has come together. Santa Clark knows the orphanage is the final piece. Like, finally, he's in on it. It turns out that there are catacombs beneath the orphanage that house magic crystals.
Makes perfect sense.
Valuable magic crystals. The lead henchman comes, captures the orphans and Garrett Morris and the lady, but Santa Clark shows up, chasing down the henchman to the roof. Santa Blake falls, hitting his head again, and pure the rules of movie amnesia, he gets his memory back. Blake is back, baby. With Santa out of the way, Big Bad Evil Guy is free to move in on the place. They drag the orphans to the basement to open the vault because he reveals he's planning to use the children as child laborers in the mine. Lenny's treachery is revealed and the geologist gets to work cutting the vault, the evil geologist. Meanwhile, Blake is back to his old boring millionaire playboy lifestyle. He gets no joy out of his mushy food or beating up his house staff. Lenny calls Blake to warn him about what's happening, but the henchmen catch him and threaten Blake that if he comes, that they'll kill him or whatever. Blake rallies the house staff and goes. They're chased by the police, who he then puts in harm's way again and resists arrest again
with a rocket launcher.
Yeah, and the police off. That's my next thing. The police have a bazooka for some reason, and accidentally they blow up their own car. Blake finally makes it, taking out the big bad evil guy's goons with clever Home Alone style tricks, and all the bad guys are using rulers as weapons, which was weird. Did you notice that? Like 3 of them had like carpenter's rules.
No, I didn't see that.
It's weird. Rewatch it. Like 3 of them had rulers in their hands. It just seems not efficient as henchmen.
No.
Blake rescues the kids and tries to help the others. They take out Dr. Vile with his own stinky fart gas. He goes to face off with Dr. Watt and then takes out another random muscular henchman. He's just another guy. He also had a ruler, by the way. Lenny dumps water on Dr. Watt from above, shorting her out. Blake suddenly remembers. This was hard, this part. Blake gets reminded and somehow suddenly remembers that he grew up in this orphanage and he had another boy who was like a brother to him, who is the big bad evil guy. And somehow neither of them remember this at all. And I said, what a huge reveal! Exclamation point. The main henchman comes onto the orphanage lady, but she pushes him into a freezer and locks him in. Blake heads down to the catacombs and confronts Big Bag Evil Guy right as he breaks into the magic crystal mine. Blake goes in after him. Blake's getting beat by Ed Begley Jr.
Somehow.
That one's hard for me too. But then he pulls out the Big Bad Evil Guy's respirator because the Big Bad Evil Guy's a germaphobe. It has had no impact on the story so far, and basically makes it so that he can be beaten without Hulk Hogan having to murder Ed Begley Jr.
What if we watch? Jesus Christ.
It's the only thing that keeps Ed Begley Jr. alive. For some reason, the crystals are going to explode.
Steven's face is turning red, listener.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's so stupid.
Okay, so because while they were fighting, they hit a bunch of the crystals. The power is resonating through the magic crystals and the whole place is going to blow up.
So glad you explained.
Okay. Just then, the sheriff finally arrives. They arrest the bad guys. The news crew comes. The bad man and all his henchmen are arrested. Blake... the orphanage does blow up. It just blows up because of magic crystals in the basement. Oh, what was this? Blake opens up a new orphanage, so it's all fine on his estate. They have kids and everything that they could want there. They watch and revel as the bad guys do manual labor in what is apparently a mixed gender prison.
That's right nearby his house.
And with a ho, 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 Blake ends this horrible movie.
Oh, God. Yeah, that happened.
Okay, let's discuss the short list of things we liked.
Well, I put, to be charitable, it's very campy. And the one thing I'll give this movie is that it's not afraid of definitely being made for kids. Because we've watched a lot of bad movies, and I think a common thread I've always complained about is that they don't never know what audience they're for, and that's what lends them being even worse. Whereas this one never gets that muddled or confused. It's always definitely for kids, and that's at least so that it had that going for it. I don't know. What's one good thing you like?
The music for this was kind of better than it deserved.
That's true.
I looked up James Covell. He's got tons of IMDb credits, both as a composer and music department. But he sort of seemed to fall into this niche of family friendly and in many cases religious type movies. But it was warm and wholesome. And honestly, I think a better Christmas movie could have really, become a classic maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
But in this movie, no.
I put Ed Begley Jr. is a treasure, I think, and he fully committed to this role of the Mr. Frost or whatever. And I feel like you never get to see him being anything other than like a really nice guy in roles that he plays. So seeing him being evil was like, it was refreshing. It was kind of neat.
Yeah. On a similar vein, I said some surprisingly shining stars in this. You get Steve Valentine. He played Dr. Blight, the main henchman. He's got an IMDb page a mile long. Things like Charms, Spider-Man 3, House, Big Bang Theory. He's apparently in something called Monster High that's really hot right now.
Yeah, you'll recognize him for sure.
And he really tried to sell this trash. I'll give him credit.
It's true.
William Newman, Chaz, the right-hand man of Blake, like the main butler. He's a longtime character actor in things like Leprechaun, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Craft, My Name is Earl.
Oh.
And he lended really gravitas and sort of seriousness to this movie that did not deserve it.
True.
Young Mila Kunis, which is nuts, and she does an okay job for terrible lines.
It's her first role, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's not her fault that it was bad. You get SNL alumni Garrett Morris playing Clayton, that they didn't use at all.
He was great in the few scenes he was in. Like he was,
But that, like, they should have leveraged the crap out of him, and they did not.
Nope.
Robin Curtis, a Trek connection, Leslie, played Savick, Star Trek 3, and then I think you see her in Star Trek 4, but not like you think you see an image of her.
Maybe
she is credited in Star Trek 4, but I don't remember her being in.
It might be like a picture or a hologram or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Clint Howard.
Let's see who else.
Can't forget Clint Howard.
Clint Howard, hell yeah. Don Stark, who played Lenny, he's a character actor, 151 IMDb credits. Most known for That 70s Show, but he was also in Star Trek First Contact as Nicky the Nose.
Aha. And he was in That 70s Show with Mila Kunis.
Yeah, there you go.
And Clint Howard's a Star Trek connection because he was the creepy baby alien from the original series on that ship. Have some Tranya. That guy. That was Clint Howard.
That's right, Tranya.
That's really young Clint Howard.
And then Arya Noel Curzon, Elizabeth, the little girl with the nonsense Angel Baby song. She did okay enough for a child actor, but she's gone on to be a pretty big voice performer.
Oh, cool.
Landing a steady gig. She's been the voice of Ducky in the Land Before Time series from movies 5 to 14.
There's 14 of them now?
There could be more. Those are just the ones she did.
Wow.
But she had a small role as a waitress in 2011's The Muppets.
Hey.
So there we go. I found somehow I stumbled onto two.
So dislikes, huh? Or you have more likes?
So the other like, the only one more like.
That's great.
So cast, music. There were some really good 80s, like 90s one-liners in here. Like we were just talking about it with Running Man and sort of how there's just how they did movies, and Hulk Hogan had some bad ones.
Yeah.
Almost made me smile.
Because speaking of Hulk Hogan, his acting in this was just truly awful, and which surprised me because I remember him being pretty good in that Suburban Commando movie. Like he was still not great,
I remember
but
that
he was
one.
fine. And he's done years of acting on wrestling that was better than this. So like you put a camera in front of his face, like a film camera, and suddenly he gets all nervous and acts terribly. I don't know, but he was real bad, especially as Blake and not as Santa Claus. The Blake character was really strange and odd.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In a similar vein, it was really weird that this movie was about two rich jerks. We talked about it earlier with the like, I couldn't tell if he was the bad guy.
Right.
Based on the earlier description.
Doing themselves no favors with that.
And so there was no like underdog story for anyone to root for because it was a millionaire going after another millionaire.
Yeah.
Another problem, them bringing in the fact that both Blake and the big bad evil guy were from the orphanage and were friends like brothers. And he didn't remember that.
That was weird.
It was really confusing, and it was really strange to bring in so late.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea that, Blake is ashamed because he came from the orphanage. He doesn't want to admit it. And that's part of his arc. Like, that'd be good writing. But that's not what happened here.
He remembered it slowly, and then the guy not recognizing him for that long, the villain is very strange. And yeah, it was weird. I put the writing was so cheesy, yes, and it's for like really young kids, but you need to counter that with some stuff that has some wit for the adults. Like, and there was nothing. It just felt like it was written for 4-year-olds, and it was like, so just I needed something to make it so it was a more well-rounded movie in that sense. It was just too cheesy. My other issue, there was so much ADR. Mm-hmm.
At times in this movie that it was jarring.
It was
jarring how much ADR there was.
Especially like the henchman had tons of ADR.
The henchman and then Lenny. Lenny had nonstop ADR. None of his was recorded live, I'm convinced.
It's weird.
The crystals were such a weird MacGuffin that it detached me from an already deeply detached movie.
Yes.
Like, of all the things, like magic crystals.
Because you're already making it more realistic that he's not really Santa. And so like it makes you think, oh, this isn't the real world. This isn't a magical world. It's just kind of But then no, suddenly we have these weird magical crystals. It's very strange.
And I think they were supposed to be science crystals, but they treated them like magic crystals.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's why he gathered the evil scientists.
And speaking of the evil scientists, I think they were a missed opportunity because they just weren't threatening. Mostly they were just gross and stupid most of the time. Like they were just kind of, they could have fleshed them out better. Like the geologist guy had like 3 lines. I don't know. It was just, it was weird.
Yeah. My next 2 are pretty much what we already echoed. Dislikes: Hulk's acting and delivery couldn't make this movie work. Dislikes: terrible writing.
Yes.
I didn't go more in depth than that.
He didn't have to.
So that is Santa with Muscles, everybody.
And we have some trivia for it before we move on.
Oh man. I just want to get away from this stinking
You can't get away that easy. The original author's draft was changed so much that he sued to have his name removed, which makes sense. One of the executive producers is Jordan Belfort, who's better known from The Wolf of Wall Street. Leonardo DiCaprio played him in the movie. And so he went to jail shortly after this movie was made, or not during the production of it. His cellmate was Tommy Chong, who was also on that 70s show.
Holy crap.
Don Stark, that's the 70s show. When Mila Kunis was asked about the film in a 2011 GQ magazine interview, she said, "I was too young to fully understand the importance of working with Hulk Hogan. I just thought he was this huge man." It's like, yeah, that's pretty much who he is. Chris Hicks, a writer for Deseret News, who did the review for this movie, said that Hulk Hogan makes Arnold Schwarzenegger seem like Laurence Olivier. It's true.
He's not wrong.
Reception for Santa with Muscles has continued to be negative. As of December 2011, it was listed at number 62 on IMDb's bottom 100 movies of all time. Wow. It was listed as number 43 out of 50 worst children's films by Total Film and was included in Virgin Media's list of worst Christmas movies. The film was also on Atlantic City Weekly's list of worst holiday films, ranking 3rd behind Santa Claus Conquers the Martians and the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yeah, man.
It's that bad. But we'll move on now to a little game I want to play with Steve here called Christmas Movie 20 Questions. So basically, I have a movie, and you're going to have to ask 20 questions to get to what that movie is. And I have a few here, but we'll see how long it takes. We don't have to do all of them. But we'll start with just
and
this
these are all Christmas movies.
Yes, these are all
typical
Christmas movies.
Okay.
So
are we ready for the first one?
Ready for the first one.
These are just yes, no, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Is the protagonist a child?
No. That's one.
Is the protagonist a man?
Yes.
Is the antagonist a man?
Yes.
You seem unsure.
Yes, I say yes.
Are you sure? Do you see Santa in this movie? Is Santa the main character of this movie?
No. That is 5.
Is there singing in this movie?
Some. I'll ish.
If I guess and guess wrong, is it done?
Yeah,
Dead
you
in the
can't
water?
guess it, unless you want to be done. Yeah.
Okay. Does the main character dress in a way that is not typical?
Typical for who?
For North American men.
Yes.
Okay, he dresses not typical.
Correct.
Is the protagonist a comedic person?
Yes.
Is this Elf?
Yes, you got it right. Yay.
I knew it 3 or 4 questions ago, but after I was like, nah, I gotta
make sure.
rounding this out just to make sure.
Only 8 tries. That's great. Less than half.
Well, when you said the antagonist, when you paused on the antagonist being a man, I was like, okay, that might narrow it down a bit.
I was like, his dad, like, I guess is the antagonist. Is that kind of the thing?
Yeah. And that's why I was like, okay, it's in the running.
All right. Number 2.
All right. Is the protagonist an adult?
Yes.
Is Santa seen in this movie?
No. Not the real Santa.
That's probably a cheating question, so I won't ask that. Is it's an action film?
Of sorts, yes.
Is the protagonist in it a comedic person?
No.
Is the is there more than one protagonist? Is there like a duo? I don't know if that's, that could be multiple questions. Sorry. Okay, so individual.
I'm hoping our listeners are trying to guess too.
Are there otherworldly beings?
No.
In this movie. Okay. Is there a gun in this movie?
Yes. Hoping my inflections help.
Your hesitation, yeah.
Ish.
Oh my God, this is tough. Plus, I've already forgotten what questions I've already asked.
That's the hard part.
Is the protagonist a parent?
Yes.
Is this parent trying to get something for their child for Christmas?
Yes.
Jingle all the way.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It only took you one more question. That was great.
I was onto it. Okay.
All right. Number 3. This is a special. We can go a little bit long.
Okay. Does it actually take place on Christmas?
Yes.
Okay. Actual Christmas films. Is the protagonist an adult?
Yes.
Okay.
Good questions to start off with.
Does it take place over more than a week?
No.
Okay, short movie. Protagonist adult. Do you see Santa?
No.
Real or otherwise?
Real or otherwise, yeah.
Okay. Are there guns in this movie?
Yes.
Is the protagonist typically a comedic individual?
No.
That won't help me. Is this an action movie?
Yes.
Die Hard.
Yes. Good job.
Okay.
That was the quickest one yet at 7 guesses.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
There's the second to last one here.
All right. Do you see Santa Claus in this movie? Real or otherwise?
Yes.
Okay. Is the protagonist of this movie Santa Claus?
Yes.
Is it the Santa Claus?
No. So you lost one.
Damn it.
You guessed too soon.
I was like, man, if I could nail this in 2, I'd be stoked.
It's Santa with muscles.
You fucker. You fucker.
Oh, man. Okay, so last one.
Okay.
That was hilarious.
Does this movie actually take place on Christmas?
As in like Christmas Day?
We'll say Christmas Eve to Christmas Day.
Yes.
Okay. Is the protagonist a child?
No.
Is the protagonist a male?
Yes.
Okay. Does the protagonist receive a gift?
Yes.
Does the protagonist give a gift?
Yes.
Okay, so adult male protagonist who receives a gift and gives a gift. Fuck. Are there otherworldly beings in this movie?
Yes.
Okay. Is this movie from before 1970?
No.
Okay.
Good question.
If this is Santa with muscles again, I'm gonna punch
It's 2
you
times Santa with
so
muscles.
hard. So hard.
Oh God.
Is there a gun in this movie? That one's treated me pretty well so far.
There's not.
Okay, no gun in this movie.
Yeah, finally a Christmas movie without guns.
Is Santa Claus the protagonist?
No.
Okay. Damn, the one that was in the front running in my head is out. So now I got to figure out where else I can lead this thing. How many questions I got?
You have you're number 9. So now this is number 10. You're about to ask.
All right, is anyone killed in this movie?
No.
Okay. Otherworldly beings killed. My guess was, I'm not saying this was, it was It's a Wonderful Life until I asked that 1970 question.
That's fair.
And now it's fucking kaput. Does it feature an angel?
Yes.
Fuck. Does it feature British people?
Oh, wait. It does not feature an angel. I apologize.
Does not feature an angel. Okay. Does it feature British people?
Yes.
Is it Love Actually?
You can end your guess there?
Yeah, because I don't have a better idea. I'm really lost on this one.
You had a lot of guesses or questions left. No, it was Muppet Christmas Carol.
God damn it. So close to home.
I know. But hey, overall you won. You got 3 out of 5, and that ain't bad.
I feel okay about that. But that last one, I was really lost. I was just ambling. I
It
had
was
nothing.
hard. At first I was like, angels. Wait, there's no angels in this. They're just ghosts. They're not angels. So yeah.
Yeah, they're not angels. But they are otherworldly beings. So that counts.
Yeah, it does. It does. So that was Christmas movie 20 questions. Steve did a great job. And that brings us to some radical recommends.
If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
What do you recommend I do?
I recommend Pleasant.
All right. This week, my radical recommend is Skeleton Crew. Disney's latest venture into the Star Wars universe. And I'm going to say, so far, so good. It's building a new part of the world and a new part of the story without treading on anything concrete from the universe. If anything, I am incredibly proud of them for finally not doing something about a goddamn Skywalker or some movie we've already seen.
Yeah.
This feels genuine and new and not a side glance to something we know. Of course, there's stuff you recognize. There was a great Star Wars holiday special reference in like the second episode. It was awesome to catch. But Jude Law is really doing a very good job, sort of the perfect mix of like scoundrel and charm. The kid actors are actually really good. It has really good Goonie-esque vibes to it.
Stranger Things kind of thing.
And it's got a lighter Star Wars, like sort of filled with wonder.
That is nice. Just a big change.
Yeah, the mood is very different, and I'm really digging it.
Did you watch The Acolyte?
I did.
Because that's also like a different story. That doesn't tread anything else, right, or something?
I don't know. That was too much.
Yeah, I didn't hear good things.
That whole thing was too much. There was a reason they canceled it.
Oof.
It is not because, we're making too many shows. It's because that was not a great one.
That's fair.
But this one right now is on track to be like the best thing they've done since like Mandalorian, Andor, like this.
Nice. I'm excited to watch it. And I felt like
so I highly recommend it.
I was surprised Jude Law hadn't been in Star Wars yet, but I was like, it's Marvel. He's been in Marvel, but not Star Wars. So yeah, he's just moving around the Disney properties.
Yeah. So that's my radical recommend. Check out Skeleton Crew. We're only like halfway through the season, and I'm so excited for more. Every Tuesday, available at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
We are not paid to say that. I wish we were.
We are not. I just know it.
That brings us to some trailer reviews. All right, so this week, it just happened today as we're recording this, the new Superman trailer just dropped, the new DCU with James Gunn helming everything. And we see in a trailer a lot of flashes of things. We don't get a lot of what the story's going to be about. But Steve, what was your impressions of this trailer?
So, I'm so proud of them for just calling it Superman.
Yeah, they dropped the legacy or whatever it was.
Thank you guys for James Gunn. If that was you, thank you for finally getting these idiots on the right track. Just with that alone. Mm-hmm. This is just oozing James Gunn. At one point you see giant like monsters battling in the background of a shot over a town. Like, it's going to have the sentimentality. It's going to have, you can see it already has the like comedy kind of spurs on it. Per his interaction with Lois Lane and the strange characters we saw, but we didn't see interact. Mm-hmm. We got promises of a lot of characters. There's a variant, a Green Lantern version in there. Some guy called Mr. Fantastic or something like that.
Yeah, he was on a Arrow show as well.
Yeah, so there's, they showed 5 or 6 different characters. We got to see Lex Luthor looking maybe a little bit more intimidating than he has looked in prior versions.
That's good.
Because you went to what, like Gene Hackman to Kevin Spacey to Jesse Eisenberg. It's just not intimidation.
Jesse Eisenberg's just annoying.
Yeah, that was not the best depiction. I'm not even sure it's Jesse Eisenberg's fault.
No, not necessarily.
But this one oozes all that. I like Gunn. Someone has to do something with DC. They've just been churning out nonstop for like 15 years now.
Yep.
And if anyone can pull on the reins and maybe get them on some sort of track, I think it's Gunn.
What I think is bad, though, not bad, but worrisome for me, is that from the first Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, you knew it was going to be something very different. It was lighthearted. You get to hear about the characters and like how they are. And this is a teaser trailer, so it is a lot of flashes of things without giving us much dialogue or anything. But I didn't like how I was so excited about this interpretation was finally a good-natured, hokey Boy Scout Superman. And maybe he'll still be that way, but every shot they wanted to show us in this teaser was him frowning, him being things thrown at him and stuff. And I'm like, this is what they did in Man of Steel. Like in Man of Steel, I actually didn't mind too much, but it was different at the time. But now we've had all these dark, like grim, dark crap. And I just want him to be happy-go-lucky, there for the common good Superman. And all we saw of him was beaten up in the beginning of the trailer, and then walking down was a crowd who's yelling at him and throwing things at him, and he looks all sour and sad. I'm like, can we have some like happiness? And like it's James Gunn. I didn't see a lot of comedy in the trailer, except for like the fact that a dog, Crypto, is saving him was kind of cute, and like his Crypto the super dog, like, and that was a very James Gunn feeling thing. I like that a lot, but I was worried because I'm like, where's the stuff we've all been waiting for? I don't know.
I can agree with that to some extent. That being said, the thing I liked about the trailer, not to say the whole thing should have been it, but I liked that it started with him just clearly post getting pummeled.
Yeah.
Unable to get up on his own. To spell out to us that moment is in the movie and to kind of sit on it. Like they didn't pull away. It was like, it was like just him.
Yeah.
Like 3 times they showed him like that. Was kind of refreshing for them to take a slower moment in a trailer.
Yeah,
I think with some big cameos, some big story beats here. If anything, I think that this could be a origin story in some ways that James Gunn is going to orchestrate. That my hope is the setup for bigger things. He's already shown there's more people with superpowers.
Yeah,
he's established that
they're already
there's
there.
Villains that have super abilities. Instead of this like real world that we then have to shoehorn magic people into.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I trust Gunn enough to have hope for this movie.
He's got a great track record. You can't deny it. No duds, really.
So if anyone can pull DC up out of this nosedive into the ground, I think it's him.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. And the lead guy looks great for the part. He fits it. He's not massive like Henry Cavill was, which is fine by me. You don't need to be a giant monster to be Superman because you're invulnerable. You don't have to have muscles on muscles on muscles, like.
Yeah, and I think someone called this out in the nerd thread we're in. I like that when he was Clark Kent, like
the ruffled hair. Yeah,
he looked different enough. Like
that's true.
Most of the time, Superman is like, oh, he took off the glasses and now he's Superman. But in this case, like his hair's down, half covering his face, glasses carries like
it worked better.
It feels more feasible than in most other incarnations of this.
Yeah, he looked clumsy. He was carrying himself differently. Like it was a whole different persona.
And because you're right, because he is not like a it doesn't look. They don't have to like really try to hide him too hard.
Yeah. And that's what I liked about Christopher Reeve is that he was a big guy. He was tall and kind of broad, but he wasn't just like a bodybuilder, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So good casting.
So I am cautiously optimistic for this. Good casting. I like Evan Rachel Wood. Is that right?
No, not Evan Rachel Wood. It's Brosnahan, the one who looks just like her, who's on that show where she plays a stand-up comedian in the 50s.
You're right. You're absolutely
Rachel
right.
Brosnahan. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
They look just alike.
You're right. They are doppelgangers. A slew of weird villain maybe characters. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm definitely going to watch it.
I'm going to give this. Raul Julia comes home from work, puts his key on the hook, takes off his shoes, puts on his loafers. And it's only then that he realized, man, it's really cold in the house. So he's looking around for windows. God damn it, Raul, did you leave the goddamn bay window open again? He's checking, but they're all locked. Finally, he goes to Gary's room and feels a draft under the door. So he knocks cautiously, Gary. And he opens the door. And inside, in a hole in the roof, it just looks like something burst out of the room, straight up into the sky. And Raul's looking up, shivering in the cold. And then from the darkness behind him comes Gary Busey and goes, I flew, Raul. And that's it. That's what I'm going to give this.
How did you fly, Gary?
You see the hole. I did it.
Sure, that's how the hole got there, of course.
Hey, this isn't like last time I broke the roof.
Okay, Gary, of course.
Hey, I learned that an umbrella will not support me if I fall.
And what did
that
we
was
learn?
Science.
We learned nothing. I give this trailer a James Gunn reimagining of our Gary Busey and Raul Julia scenario, where he casts his favorites that he puts in all his movies now. He has Nathan Fillion playing Raul Julia, and Gary Busey is now played by his brother Sean Gunn, who he puts in every movie as well.
But it's not actually Sean Gunn. It's a CGI representation of Gary Busey, and Sean Gunn is the stand-in.
He does the mocap
for it. He does the mocap for Gary Busey.
Yep, and it's a little more clippy and funny and cute and snarky, just like every James Gunn reboot.
And for some reason, Gary Busey is a raccoon.
Yes, of course. Oh, boy.
Well, that brings us to the end of episode 212. Join us next time for episode 213 in honor of the release of both Better Man and Wolf Man. We're going to talk about the examination of man versus the beast within. We dive into the 1997 classic of a boy facing his journey into manhood, world-bending martial arts, and kangaroos. That's right. We're going to be watching The Warriors of Virtue to kick off the new year here on A Play on Nerds.
Because what better way?
Come on back for that for another year, and we'll be your nerdy co-hosts. If you be our nerdy audience, thanks again, Internet.
Stay nerdy, my friends. Thanks for listening to A Play on Nerds. Feel free to email feedback at aplayonnerds.com with all your questions or comments.
Shoot us a message on Facebook or Twitter and earn yourself a sweet shout out on the show.
Review us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so even more nerds can find us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, we aren't picky.
Check out our entire back catalog and other offerings at aplayonnerds.com.
And how?